right, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Wednesday, August 27th edition of the Atlanta City Council's Finance and Executive Committee. I'm Howard Shook. Vice Chair Wan is to my right, Ms. Bakhtiari is to his right, Mr. Hillis, Mr. Winston, and Ms. Overstreet are to my left. So we have a quorum, and I am calling the meeting together and making a motion to adopt the agenda, second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, I'll move to adopt the minutes of the prior meeting. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open.
All right, the minutes have been adopted, which brings us to public comment. Is anyone signed up?
No one has signed up.
All right, thank you. That takes us to our presentations and reports. We have before each of us, the COVID-19's funds report. As usual, that is in the form of a handout only. And with that, we're going to have the first of our monthly financial performance reports. And Mr. CFO of the year, if you're ready, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Member. So one thing I just wanted to kind of orient the Council about with these monthly reports. Of course, this is the college football rankings, way too early to predict in terms of our forecast periods, but we do have them here as something illustrative just based on that first month of data alone, which shouldn't be relied on too heavily because the numbers will change and change significantly up or down within the next couple of months and after we do the quarter end. Some of the information too is that was required in this monthly report is regarding to personnel data, and I did have an opportunity to review the personnel data. We will need a little bit more time and grace on that data. We'll talk about it in the next FEC report, just so we can calibrate and make sure that it's in a format that's digestible and understandable as well too. So right off the bat, I'll take you to that first page, which highlights the July actuals and our year end projections. You can see the July actuals were driven primarily by that other financing uses, which is the allocation of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So that is a one-time spend in July that funds the trust fund right off the start of the fiscal year. We do see that the personnel services line item is a little bit above our target right now, and we're looking into some of those variables in more detail, but there is some questions that we will be discussing, especially during VRB, with regards to staffing and staffing levels for the rest of the year. So as it stands right now, they're too early to project projections for the Department of Finances at 983 or a little bit less than 1% over budget, 7.6 million. And again, that's driven by personnel and employee benefits with about a 2 million overage on contracts. And this has to do with just some of contracts that are being renewed at higher terms this year. And we will continue to work with the departments and DOP in the renewal process about how we can garner more savings during that renewal process. The second page really highlights our assumptions based on departmental levels. And as you can see, the bulk of the overages are at our public safety entities with fire and police a little bit over budget. And that is offset by a lot of other departments being under budget, with City Council being the one that's most favorable position. And again, on the next FEC on September 10th, we will dig into the personnel data a little bit more detail.
Mr. Wan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. CFO. Yeah, I think this has been highly anticipated, just as we want to make sure we're keeping a close eye on this. I think the key is being able to react and respond with the earliest signals from these reports. I appreciate your just sharing that the personnel information will come next cycle. Yeah, for us to already be looking at a overage with the first month out is, I think, confirms some of our concerns that we had going into this fiscal year. The purchase contract services, though, I'm actually more anxious about that now, because you talked mostly about renewals, but not all of those are renewals. I mean, we've got some brand new RFPs and procurements going out, and as we've seen, just anecdotally, as well as from some of the other just various miscellaneous contracts that are coming in, it's extremely rare, like unicorn rare, where we're coming in under budget. It's actually usually 5, 10, 15% the other direction.
Yeah.
And so the problem, I just don't know what throttles we have there in terms of reactions to if that starts getting even beyond the 1.4% that you're talking about. I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. I think we spent a lot of time and effort during this budget season with purchase contract services, and not just kind of relying based on historical data. So we went with each department and looked at their current procurement cycle and needs over the next fiscal year, FY26. I thought we did a pretty good job of anticipating most of those in this budget. But what we are seeing is one or two things that are coming off unexpected. And so we're going to continue to keep an eye on it. There could be an opportunity for us to split fund or move some things around, even in the renewals as they come up. So these are one things that we want to look at. And I know the Department of Procurement is going through a process now where user agencies are going to be held a lot more accountable about making sure that renewals are timely and more efficient, and also increasing the population of respondents, because that also helps drive down contract spending as well.
Yeah, I'll make one more just comment on that, though, is that I think now more than ever, I would charge procurement with the notion of get out there, talk to the units, and consolidate the orders now so that you're going out with a bigger bulk procurement and getting the best price possible, versus these mid-year add-ons of, oh, we're going to have more money, more departments, when you know you're probably not getting the best rate at that point. So
agreed, and that is actually an update that CPO Houston gave to us about some of the efforts that she's working on. So we'll coordinate closely there.
Okay. Again, appreciate this first pass at what things look like so far. I'll look forward and have a feeling we're going to be diving more deeply into the personnel side. But thank you, Mr. CFO. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, we've been joined by Byron Amos. I'll make a couple comments at the end if anyone else has any. Ms. Bakhtiari? No? You're just, don't raise my hand. Right, you're just saying hi. Okay. Well, just a couple things. It's early. I mean, it's like trying to pay attention to the score in the first 5 minutes of an NBA game. However, it's not too early, for us to be in the habit of looking at these numbers and seeing the trends. Right now, there are no trends particularly. We'll have to wait for the next set. But and I think the format needs a little more tweaking to get it to where I think everyone's going to be happy. I will say this, it's not too early to say, I'll be interested to see if you agree or disagree, that there's nothing here to suggest that the time is ripe to let down our guard and go off on a whole bunch of new spending initiatives. Is that correct?
That is accurate.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you. We'll look forward to the next report. That takes us to And there are no first reads, oddly. So we'll start off with 25-0-1458. It's an ordinance by Finance Exec correcting the recording of franchise fee collections from the Department of Public Works to the Atlanta Department of Transportation, and to allow for the transfer of fees collected from Public Works to be transferred to Department of Transportation and for other purposes. I'll second that. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Carr, who's already returning to her seat? Okay, let's open the vote.
The vote is open,
She'll be here all evening, folks.
and the vote is closed. Seven yeas.
Oh, okay. In that case, you guys have it. 25-0-1459 is an ordinance by Finance Exec, amending the city code section indicated annual leave and vacation to provide that upon separation from city, employees shall receive a lump sum cash payment in the amount of any unused accrued annual leave, to amend the provisions related to the accumulated vacation leave and for other purposes. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been brought to my attention that neither HR, finance, or law have really had time to adequately review this. Well, this. Oh. All right, I jumped the gun here. Yeah. Do we have HR here?
Good afternoon, council members.
Good afternoon.
Kim Finley, Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Human Resources. I don't have anything to talk about for this agenda item. This is directed toward finance.
I'm sorry, HR, but so this is regarding just updates to the code with regards to the way the city of Atlanta customarily offboards employees. And so in an event that employees are offboarded, what we want to do is make sure that we process them completely out the system. And when they're processed completely out the system, that includes the payout of their vacation and any other closure needs that needs to happen. What we've seen in the past is when employees are leaving their employment with the city of Atlanta and they've accrued very, very large balances, that they might stay for 3, 4, 5, 6 months on payroll, accruing additional vacation. That position not available for refill at the time. So extra help and other things are needed to continue employment. This does not in shape or form limit the managers and employees on agreeing what the last day of employment should be. So what we want to make sure is that that elective to leave and ride out vacation for months on end is somehow limited to better coordination with the operational line managers so that proper planning can take place.
All right, so I kind of understand why we're trying to do this, but does this apply to both, or to involuntary or just voluntary separations? Is it both?
This case would apply to both voluntary and involuntary separations.
Okay. I guess I'm surprised that we would put ourselves in a position where, rather than, you made the example of someone accruing additional vacation while they're.
And benefits.
Okay, the benefits side, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I'm always a little hesitant in terms of having to face that cash outlay right then and there versus being able to spread it over time.
Yeah, what we've actually seen, when we ran the numbers, is what ends up happening is there's a need to create extra help positions to fill in the gaps. So we end up paying more over that duration because then we have two individuals that are performing a comparable task, one on their way out and one kind of in the seat doing the work until that position is available for fill.
Yeah, again, I just wonder if there's a more elegant construct whereby someone who separates basically goes into the kind of this vacation payout time category where they're no longer earning additional vacation. We still have the benefit of being able to pay over time. Their position is vacated so that you can backfill. Again, I just think of the time value of money where we're financially potentially better off not having to lay out that big chunk of change at the beginning. I don't know if y'all explored that or not.
Yeah. We have looked at, I think the biggest challenge to us comes with benefits issues.
Right, but again, if you move them into this new kind of, I don't know, maybe there's not an HR construct that will allow that, but again,
there's not one right now that will allow that.
could we create one, I guess, versus this?
We're okay with holding this for a cycle and looking for some other alternatives that might mitigate some of that. So we can speak to HR. It's one thing that it's a thing that's needed, but not urgently in this cycle. So it could wait a cycle for us to consider some alternative tracks.
No, I don't feel strongly enough to hold this back. I just, again, wanted to make sure we had exhausted other options before kind of moving to this.
Yeah,
but
and we can certainly look into that too. So if there's something additional that we can add, we're happy to come back with another clarifying or updated piece of legislation to address that.
Thank you, Mr. CFO. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Mr. Amos.
Yes, interesting looking at this from both sides. Used to be a city employee, left, went through this process, but I was never thinking about me still being on the road, holding the position, the people in the department not being able to move forward because I was enjoying my career vacation time. So I see where you're coming from. I'm willing to support this. It makes plenty of sense. But he brought up benefits. Now, if the person leaves, let's say the first day of the month, benefits continue throughout the month, correct? Would that paper change this? Or?
No. I mean, so what this happens is on your last cycle, your last payment, benefits will stop. What we are hoping to as well is if there's, and most of our separations are voluntary, not involuntary, so 95% of them are voluntary. What we want is just better coordination on when their last end date would be, and when the expectation ahead of time. It helps not only in this, but also helps in transferring skill set, transferring knowledge, getting policies and procedures documented. The employees in that case would say, hey, my last physical day in office will be in 2 weeks. I'm going to take vacation for the other 2 months. I would want to know that up front. Once when I'm available on phone calls or have access to my laptop, I'll have access to my thing if needed. These are the types of coordination that we'd like to hopefully see going forward.
All right.
All right, I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Juan. If there's nothing else, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, thank you. 25-0-1460. This is an ordinance by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city to waive the competitive source selection requirements contained in the code listed here so as to allow the Department of Cultural Affairs to enter into agreements with specifically curated performers, artists, and sponsors for the 2025 Elevate Public Art Festival in Atlanta, and directing that all festival revenues and expenses be deposited and expended from the accounts listed below and for other purposes. Yeah, motion approved by Juan. I'll second that. If there's any questions, seeing none, let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
At the ayes have it, so ordered. 25-0-1461, ordinance by finance exec authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city to execute all appropriate documents granting PPP Metropolitan LLC, Georgia Limited Liability Company, a stormwater drainage easement consisting of approximately 5,529 square feet over, through, and upon a portion of city-owned real property located at 2353 Metropolitan Parkway at the exact address listed for the purpose of installing a stormwater drainage infrastructure, waiving any conflicting provisions of Article 10, Division 14, Subsection 3 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, and for other purposes. And I will second that. Questions or comments? Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
The ayes have it. 25-0-1462 is an ordinance by finance exec authorizing the mayor to execute a contractual agreement for a sole source, number of which is indicated, a record management system with Image Trend LLC pursuant to the code section cited on behalf of Atlanta Fire Rescue for a term of 3 years with 3 one-year renewal options in an amount not to exceed $1,044,722.32 over the course of 3 years, all contracted work to be charged to and paid from, et cetera. And I will move to amend in the iPro report. Second by Juan. Let's open the vote on the amendment.
The vote is open.
Never.
The vote is closed.
And the iPro report is clean, by the way. I will move approval as amended. Second by Juan. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
25-0-1463 is an ordinance by finance exec waiving the competitive source selections, sole source selection provisions cited here, as well as any other conflicting code provisions to authorize the mayor as designee to execute the First Amendment to a special procurement agreement number listed, Comcast Network Fiber Services with Comcast Cable Communications Management on behalf of AIM and Watershed Management, and to add the departments of Fire and Rescue, Police, Parks and Rec, Public Works, Corrections, and the Mayor's Office as an authorized user, and to extend the term of the agreement 1 year, effective February 26th of next through February 25th of 2027, and to add funding in amount not to exceed $1,243,010, all contracted work to be charged to and paid from, et cetera. I'll second it. Any questions or comments? Let's open the vote.
Vote is open. The vote is closed.
Okay. 25-0-1475 requires a substitute. I'll make that motion. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that procedural vote to bring the substitute before us.
The vote is open.
Substitutes before us. This is an ordinance by Mr. Bond, a substitute by finance exec, authorizing a donation in a total not to exceed $1,000 pursuant to the charter section listed here from the Post 1 at-large carry-forward account to the Athletes Youth Success Institute to support their efforts in raising funds to send a group of promising student athletes to the U.S. Open Tennis Tournament in New York and for other purposes. Motion to approve by Bakhtiari. I will second that. If there's no questions or comments, let's open the vote to approve on substitute.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Takes us to 25-0-1478, Ordinance by Hillis, Boone, Dozier, Shook, Lewis, Westmoreland, Bond Overstreet, Collins, Amos, and Juan to amend the code sections indicated here to enhance labor relations and employee well-being through union leadership engagement and administrative leave provisions and for other purposes. This is the one I confused with item 2 at the outset of the meeting. And as stated then, there's been a request to hold this because as far as I've learned, neither HR nor law nor finance have had a time to adequately vet this. So my motion is to hold. Second by Juan. If there's something else, let's open that vote.
That vote is open. And the vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays.
I will take that up next time. 25-0-1482 is an ordinance by Shook to amend the code sections indicated here to remove restrictions on transferring funds between certain accounts and for other purposes. And the correct course will be to send this on from here, if we so desire, to the Committee on Council. But let's hear what we're doing. Ms. Kempson Wright, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Santana Gibson Wright, Atlanta City Council. Chair, this legislation will amend the Code of Ordinances. Currently, there is a prohibition in place that prohibits council member expense accounts from modifying and transferring between some of your other expense accounts for salaries, insurance, et cetera. And this prohibition does not exist for anyone else in the city. So this just removes that restriction from you. Thank you.
All right, motion's been made and properly seconded. So let's open that vote.
That vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to refer this to COC. Second by,
This will automatically go there.
it automatically goes there. Even better. We're going to take 10 and 11 together. 25-0-1483 is an ordinance by Shook authorizing the CFO to amend the FY26 budget by adding to anticipations and appropriation bond proceeds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed blank for the Series 2025 General Airport Revenue Bonds and to amend the funding for the contracts listed in Exhibit A and for other purposes. 11 is 25-0-1484, an ordinance by Shook supplementing that certain 37th bond ordinance adopted on the date indicated, approved on the date indicated to, among other things, set forth the terms for the City of Atlanta 1 Airport General Revenue Bonds 2025 A and B, and any additional subseries designation is herein permitted, providing funds for the repurpose of, among other things, financing and refinancing in whole or in part the cost of planning, engineering, design, acquisition, equipping, and construction of certain improvements to Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport, providing for a reasonably required debt service reserve, providing for the payment of costs of issuance including bond insurance, if any, providing for the forms of and authorizing the execution of said 2025 A and B bonds, providing for the rights for the holders of said bonds, authorizing and approving the preparation, use, and distribution of a preliminary official statement and a final official statement in connection with the offer and sale of said bonds, granting the CFO, the city finance officer, or airport general manager the authority to deem final the preliminary official statement for purpose of Securities and Exchange Commission rule indicated, and the authority to approve and execute a final official statement authorizing the execution of a continuing disclosure agreement, a bond purchase agreement, and certain other agreements in connection with said bonds, and providing for incidental related actions, providing for an effective date, and for other purposes. A motion is to send these forward to council without rec. We'll take them up at a special call.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bakhtiari. If there's no questions, let's open up the vote on those two items.
The vote is open. Would all members please vote? Vote is closed.
All right, thank you. Takes us 2501485. Ordinance by Westmoreland, Overstreet, Collins, and Lewis authorizing a donation in amount not to exceed $3,750 to Adair Park Today for the Porches and Pies Festival pursuant to the city charter section listed here and for other purposes. I'll move approval. Second by Juan. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
And we're joined by former esteemed colleague Aaron Watson.
Would all members please vote?
Vote.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays.
2503812 requires a substitute. I'll make that motion. Second by Juan. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All
7
right,
yeas, 0 nays.
substitutes before us. This is 1303812, an ordinance by Mr. Lewis, is substituted by Finance Exec, naming the Atlanta City Council's Committee Room 2, the Olivia Sanders Parks Rankin Committee Room, and for other purposes. Ms. Bakhtiari.
Thank you. I'm a little confused. I appreciate that there's somebody that we're trying to have remembrance for someone who clearly had an impact on the city, but I get asked requests come to me, I know to many of us almost weekly at this point. So was there a process put in place to allow for this to happen? Because I know that typically we just it feels like one-offs and there's not a standard process, and we have a room left, and I know a lot of input went into our other rooms, and I don't know if that same amount of input has been able to happen here. So I'm hoping somebody can just give me a little bit more clarity on that.
I can't answer that question, and during my time here, Committee on Council has typically been the committee that oversees legislation, kind of setting up the framework to make these decisions. I know in the past, there have been different attempts along the way to kind of refine the process. It's been modified a number of times. I'd like to know what the process looks like now, and what we're being asked to waive. And if there's no one here who can answer those questions,
Is there perhaps, Mr. Chair, an opportunity for us to gain more information so it can be presented at the next FEC meeting and we can motion to hold for now?
Yeah, okay, there's a motion's been made and second to hold this until we can get our questions answered. And the questions being, I think, fair ones. Any questions or comments? Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, thank you. We're now to resolutions. Let's take 14 and 15 together. The motion will be to hold both. 25R 3813, resolution by Shook authorizing the CFO to refund customers for overpayments to water and sewer accounts in the amount of blank. All funds to be charged to and paid from, et cetera. 25R 3814 is a resolution by Shook authorizing the Commissioner of Watershed Management to adjust water and sewer service charges on certain customer accounts in accordance with the code section indicated for blank. Motions to hold both. Second by Juan. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. 25R 3815 requires a substitute. I'll move to bring it forward. Second by Juan. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open.
All right, substitutes before us. The caption reads, a substitute resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor to issue task order indicated for the RFP indicated job order contracting services large with Manhattan RFB JV for the construction of Fire Station 29 EMS on behalf of Enterprise Assets Management in an amount not to exceed $14.5 million. All work to be charged to and paid from the accounts listed and for other purposes. And the substitute adds funding, additional funding is provided from districts 6 and 7. I will move approval on substitute. Second by Juan. Seeing no questions or comments, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Items approved on substitute. 25R3826 requires a substitute. I'll make a motion to bring it forward. Second by Juan. Let's open that vote.
Vote's open. Vote's closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, this is a substitute resolution by FEC authorizing the mayor or his designee to exercise the first renewal option for the agreement indicated time lock replacement and licensing with Time Clock Plus LLC on behalf of AIM for a term of 1 year with one renewal option remaining, effective from September 27th of this year through September 26th of next, in an amount not to exceed $183,515.91. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from, etc. Motion to approve by Juan. I will second that. If there's no questions or comments, let's open the vote on the motion to approve on substitute.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
That takes us to 25R3827, resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor's designee to execute an agreement for the RFP indicated website management system with Ernst & Young LLP on behalf of AIM, APD, AFRD, and the Atlanta City Council pursuant to the code section indicated here for a term of 1 year with 5 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the city's sole discretion in an amount not to exceed $1,617,000. All contracted work being charged to and paid from, etc. And we do not have the iPro yet, and so my motion is to hold. Second by Mr. Juan. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And that vote is closed.
All right, we have a dual 25O1480 ordinance by Overstreet, Westmoreland, Boone, and Collins to authorize the Atlanta Development Authority to utilize funds remaining in the Atlanta Recovery Fund established for Invest Atlanta, and the ordinance indicated for the public purpose of supporting small businesses along the Cascade Road, which have been adversely impacted by the ongoing construction of various water and sewer enhancement and maintenance projects, to extend the deadline by which any remaining funds must be transferred back to the city, to authorize the mayor or his designee on behalf of the city to execute all documents necessary to effectuate the purpose of this ordinance, including but not limited to any amendment to the intergovernmental agreement for economic development services dated October 21st of 2020, or any such successor IGA if needed and for other purposes. This comes forward favorably to us. And is there a motion? Approved by Marcy Collier Overstreet, second by Ms. Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, and then we have 2 referrals. One from Public Safety Legal Administration. This is 25O1445. Ordinance by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the mayor's designee or the chief procurement officer or her designee on behalf of the city to acquire from Entrenchment Creek Coalition 3 parcels of land comprising approximately 25.42 acres of real property located at the locations listed here for the future expansion of the city's Custer Avenue Combined Sewer Control Facility for a purchase price of $10.9 million, authorizing the mayor or his designee or the CPO or her designee on behalf of the city to execute all documents necessary to acquire the property, authorizing acquisition, due diligence, closing costs, signage, demolition, site security and stabilization, fencing, and other site developments costs to be paid from the section indicated here, and the fund indicated here, waiving the code section indicated here, and for other purposes.
Good afternoon,
Good
Chairman
afternoon.
Shook, members of the committee, Marcus Butts, Department of Watershed Management, Office of Engineering Services. The matter before you is related to the acquisition of a little over 25 acres of land, which is immediately adjacent to our Custer Avenue CSO facility. The property stretches from Custer Avenue to just over at Boulevard. It allows us to cure multiple encroachments that we've discovered, the driveway being one as well as a footbridge. But most importantly, it allows us to upgrade our facility to handle capacity in the area and to improve the concrete channel, which also traverses the property.
I understand the city attorney has a recommendation or comments.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Chairman Shook. This particular piece of legislation was negotiated over a very long period of time with a very difficult seller to make certain that we reached an agreement that was beneficial to the city. The property is being acquired at its fair market value based upon appraisals, but it is a large tract of land and it is adjacent to the Beltline. And as Mr. Butts indicated, it is a point of ingress and egress out of a combined sewer overflow, and it is needed to prevent continuing trespasses. They also want to acquire the property for possible expansion location for that site in the future. This is time sensitive. The deal terms have been negotiated such that the seller reluctantly has agreed, if we can kind of get this thing through, to go through with it. And we just don't want to be in a situation of being out in a limb without having an agreement in place with regard to this particular site. I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, and I believe this is in your district, Mr. Winston, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Madam Attorney, I respect that there has been negotiations for over a year here, but I do find it very concerning that today was the first time that I have been notified about over 25 acres being purchased in my district, which is in very prime location, adjacent to the Beltline, next to a new complete street project. And I know I've worked with Mr. Butts on other acquisitions over the past, and there's been a lot of communication with my office on those. And I'm just wondering if somebody from Watershed can speak towards the history of this and how we got here today without myself or this body being notified of this.
Sure. We actually, CM Winston, were working in partnership with the attorney's office because there had been several communications from the seller to the attorney. Again, this seller has been challenging to deal with. And the property, although it fits an institutional user like us, is not as attractive to the open market as one may seem. So we were able to finally convince that seller that this needed to stay in public hands, and it does help us to solve issues that are current and into the future.
And what all departments of this? Just Watershed has been involved in this, the law department. I know that several years ago, the Beltline was involved in this conversation, and I'm hearing the call that this is time sensitive, but I'm just wondering if some of these conversations need to continue since they haven't happened already.
So recently the conversations have been just Watershed and Department of Law.
Okay. Yeah, I do have some deep concerns about this. I want to come back to it in a second. I know my colleague here has his hand up about it, or wants to speak to it as well.
That's fine. Mr. Hillis?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Butts. Thank you, Madam City Attorney. So I concur and express some of the same concerns that my colleague does, but I won't repeat those. My concerns on top of those are, you just mentioned yourself that this is not as attractive to the open market. However, I wasn't able to research as much since we're told about it, but looks like it's 3 parcels that have a total assessment by the Fulton County Assessor's Office by an amount of $671,300. And we are somehow arrived at a value almost 17 times that. And looking at the parcel, it looks like it's mostly taken up by either Georgia Power easement or right-of-way for transmission lines. I know it's along a creek, and that's valuable to watershed and their purpose and the public good, but I just am very concerned about that this is a overinflated purchase price versus what the actual value is.
Sure. I mean, we certainly love to be paying a lot less. We've had appraisals get in there, level 4 state registered appraisals who went in, and this is the value that was determined. We did have that value reviewed by the CPO and did receive the EJC. I mean, you know, again, obviously we would love to, as the buyer, be paying a lot less, but the market dictates that based on the location. Even though as an institutional user, we're prime candidate for it, that is market value for that property.
Okay, well, maybe you need to give the list of those appraisers to the Parks Department, because when I'm looking at parkland to my my district, they get offered a pittance.
Sure.
And we can't add parkland because Parks or someone who goes after Parks land, who I will leave unnamed, offers them very little value comparable to what the Fulton County Assessor's Office says it's valued as. So I'll leave it at that and defer to any of my other colleagues or back to Councilmember Winston to add anything further.
Ms. Spectori.
Sorry, I just wanted to, I'm genuinely confused. Based on what Councilmember Hill has said in terms of the appraisal amount, I know that we've done appraisals for purchase, for opportunities around land acquisition. And my understanding was that we, as a city, could not offer above the assessed amount. And so,
10%.
Well, 10%. According to the math, it's a lot higher than 10%. And so I'm confused who the appraisals are coming from. If Fulton County's is not accurate, then what appraisers are we using?
So,
And granted, I think that Fulton County's not accurate on a lot of things, but I'm curious about this particular thing.
so CM Bakhtiari, I will yield to law, but I think the 10% is over the appraised value, not the assessed value by the tax commissioner.
So the appraised value is still. Well, given, and I'll also look at Councilmember Winston because he's very well versed in this and has been working on this, I know, with the city for quite some time. But I guess my question is, if there's not a lot of clarity, we're not looking at a small sum of money here. Do we need to hold to have a better understanding, especially given what has been said by all of us and especially you?
If the
Mr. Chair.
chair will let me take the floor, it was brought up about time sensitivity. I'm not really getting any clarity on why this is so time sensitive if it's been worked on for over a year. And I'm just wondering, we can get some more clarity on that.
There are two things I'm willing to offer to you all for clarity. One is a copy of the actual appraiser, because we're not hiring this number. This is the number that was done. We actually have 4 appraisals because the seller would not agree to the first 2. We had to bring in a third. You know how that goes. So this is the appraiser. And it was reviewed by procurement, so we know that that process has been adhered to. Our biggest issue, time-wise, is the unwillingness of the seller to allow the purchase to go through at this price, because the seller honestly believes that the property is worth much more than this. And so we have had to push back on him on the price. And as you notice from the document before you, there is, well, you may not have it on here, but in the actual agreement that is contemplated, well, it's been signed by him, there is the release of any and all damages from the alleged prior instances of trespass by the city of Atlanta over the property. So there have been decades of trespass on a daily basis, and that can also contribute millions of dollars to the valuation, which we are not paying for in addition to the fair market value. And so it is a very volatile situation, it's a very tentative situation. It has taken a long time because we had to do the appraisals, and every time we did an appraisal it was 2 months trying to get the appraisal there, and then going back to the person who doesn't have an email, doesn't deal with mail very well. So we've been having all types of personal deliveries. It is very, I mean, I hate to stress this, but you don't see me coming up here stressing these types of things unless it's serious. We need to get this resolved. We need to stop them from going over a bridge that's not on their land. We need to stop them from dumping and using chemicals at this plant not on their land. We need to resolve this by acquiring this property, which is of value to the city. Now, the tax commissioner's assessed value or appraised value is not anything in remote relationship, as you know, to 25 acres anywhere near the belt line, let alone near a creek. So I can't deal with why it's so low, but I can let you see what we've been working with.
Now, I hear your call and your plea. I just still find it deeply concerning that this is something that myself and the rest of us have found out today. And I know that you are not in charge of those communications with us, especially asking for a significant purchase by the city of Atlanta. I'm very much inclined to continue to hold us to have these conversations. I am open to maybe moving this forward with no recommendation, but you know, I'm also feeling like I might be rewarding behavior that I don't want to see repeated here if we go down that route. So,
Mr. Ellis.
That's kind of where I'm thinking. Thank you.
So the value that is arrived at in this piece of legislation is this, and you mentioned 4 appraisals. Is this the average of those 4 appraisals? Is it the highest appraisal, the lowest appraisal, one of the 2 middle appraisals? What is this?
This is the highest appraisal value for fair market value, and that's because there were errors in the others that were pointed out that are valid based upon the comparables, based upon the sizes of the tracts. And then none of the appraisals, as I repeat again, have anything of value to deal with the offset for the trespass, which are treble damages in Georgia.
Do the appraisals account for, I haven't got my area calculator out, but the fact that a large majority of all of these parcels are within a Georgia Power right-of-way and or easement?
Yes.
And then, so I know Councilmember Winston offered to move this forward with no recommendation. I would like to add to that 2 conditions. One, that we're allowed to see the appraisals and also point out the errors that you mentioned in the 3 appraisals, as well as a list of the last 6 years of Department of Watershed Management purchases. That includes the acreage, the cost, and then the calculation of the value per acre. Thank you.
How many years was that back?
6, please.
6 years, thank you.
Ms. Spectori.
No, I thank you for asking those questions. I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit confused, and I do appreciate Councilmember Hillis adding those caveats, because I was going to ask, and I understand how fast we must move, and I understand things get lost in communication, and I know how difficult the seller is. So having an understanding of why those happen, just as being able to justify the spending, even though acquisition, I'm a huge fan of green space acquisition, but just trying to take the time needed as holders of the purse strings when things are as uncertain as they are in our political landscape, just having all of the facts and figures together so we can make the right decision. So understood. Just please, I would ask again that folks communicate with Councilmember Winston, because he has been well-versed on this, so we have an understanding of where we need to go moving forward. So thank you.
And I apologize for myself and my client for not doing the briefings, because I think it just slipped through the cracks.
Well, okay, so we've got a motion and a second. I'll just add, I mean, you've not helped your cause here by not speaking. I mean, this is an extraordinarily sensitive piece of property. There is so much history here involved in all of this. That's one reason why we're double and triple clutching here. And so for that reason, it was even more important than ever that there be discussion along the way. Mr. Juan.
Why was this walked into public safety and not utilities?
Yeah.
Because it is an actual acquisition, and it didn't have to go into utilities. They could go either place. They chose this one. I didn't decide where it needed to go. We don't generally do that, but it was placed in here because of the acquisition.
This was a walk-in though, right?
No, it's,
Oh, it got referred.
yes,
It's a referral.
Okay.
it was a referral. This wasn't walking.
Yeah, wow. I thought it was a walk-in, so I was going to give you a little grace in terms of not talking to Winston, but the fact that it got introduced, then referred, y'all discussed it in public safety on Monday and still didn't talk to Winston until today is extra troubling. So okay. Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. I thought it was a walk-in.
All right, we do have a motion. Oh, and we have other speakers, Mr. Ellis and then Mr. Wan. No, was that left up there from last time?
Add that,
Mr. Winston? Go
that we've made a motion to, I've made a motion to refer with no recommendation.
Right.
Obviously, there are conditions attached to it. And I mean, given the uncertainty and the questions that we still remain, there's a possibility that this could not move forward on Tuesday when we meet as a full body. And so I would hope that we are able to come to some kind of conclusion and resolution on the outstanding items before we decide to take a full vote on it on Tuesday. So we appreciate that.
Mr. Ellis.
Just given that caveat, I would request that we actually get these items that are conditional by the end of the week. That way we have until the meeting on Tuesday to review them. Don't be dropping stuff on us on Tuesday at 12:45 p.m.
The issue that I have is I can guarantee you I can get you the appraisals, but I don't have a record of the history of the acquisitions for the Department of Watershed Management for 6 years.
Mr. Bus, I'm sure will help you with that.
You can get it by Friday? All right, because I don't ever like to misrepresent what I can do beforehand or not. I can get the appraisals.
I'm sorry, sir, you're out of order.
When can I say something?
I'm sorry, sir, you're out of order. All right, we've got a motion with a proper second. If there's no other questions or comments, then we need to take the vote.
The vote is open.
Talk.
The vote is closed. 6
All right,
yeas,
thank you. We have
1 nay.
6 yeas and 1 no. All right, so we will take this up on Tuesday, and hopefully we will get timely receipt of the information requested.
I said, thank you very much. We will.
All right, thank you. That takes us to our last paper and another referral. Did you have a comment? No? Okay. 25-0-1457 comes to us courtesy of CDHS. This is an ordinance by that committee authorizing the city attorney or her designee to negotiate deed restrictions for the Utoy Creek Nature Preserve, the Southwest Nature Preserve, the Mount Zion Nature Preserve, and the South River Nature Preserve in order for the City of Atlanta to expand its participation in the Urban Forest Carbon Credit Program with Urban Forest Carbon Registry, doing business as City Forest Credits, so as to commit said properties to conservation pursuant to the program requirements to support the City of Atlanta's Sustainability and Green Space Initiative, authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the deed restrictions and for other purposes. And is there somebody here who was on CD who can talk about this, or someone from the administration who can present?
Yes, John R. Seidel, Deputy Chief Sustainability Officer. This went to Community Development and Human Services, and we actually spoke about it at separately in our CUC meeting this morning in our presentation. But yeah, so that this is in summary for us to be able to move forward with these deed restriction agreements between the city and making sure that these properties are eligible and those specific areas are eligible for the carbon credit protocol. And so it was referred to this committee after going through CDHS, and glad to take any questions.
Are there questions?
Sorry, my only question is how, this sounds great, how is it executed? Like, how do we ensure that participation's happening, that we are getting it done?
Yeah, so I'd say the Lake Charlotte Nature Preserve is a really good example of how once it's done and the project is sent in all the documents, so all the documents, including the deed restrictions, have to be sent in by September 12th, and then our city forest credits partners, the Carbon Credit Registry, goes through the project documents, deems if the projects are eligible and meet all the criteria, and then start issuing carbon credits in line with their carbon credit protocol. So we know for Lake Charlotte Nature Preserve, we're going to continue to receive tranches of carbon credits over the next 2 years just because it's a huge project. Same thing for this across the 4 different properties. And so yeah, if you are so inclined to see how the project continues to be, Lake Charlotte is what I point back to. There's 2 different websites you can go to, but City of Atlanta Carbon Credit, you'll see that one first, and the Carbon Credit Program 2024, you'll be able to see all the documents. It's all publicly accessible and hopefully scalable for other local governments to do as well.
Awesome, thank you. Motion to approve.
I'll second that. Questions, comments? Seeing none, let's vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Mr. Evans, do we have anything else?
We do not.
All right, thank you. That concludes our committee work for this week, and so have a good Labor Day. And what? Miss Marcy Collier Overstreet has the floor.
We're still doing general comments at the end, right?
If need be.
I mean,
if need be.
don't make me stump out of here. Honestly, I just want, first of all, to thank you all for supporting me in making sure that Cascade Road is made whole as we can at this time, for sure. That was really gracious of all of you, because you know the pain that we've been going through on Cascade with the project, and so many lessons learned, so much that we can take with us for the projects that we know are coming also with Howell Mill and Monroe and Boulevard. And I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that I really appreciate you all standing behind me with this. And because there's no other reason for you to support it except you know what we've gone through and what the right thing is to do. So thank you for that. In that same vein, today, please meet me on Cascade Road as we have Cascade Day. Come to Cascade Day, actually happens today at 6 o'clock. And we will start at J.R. Crickett's, and we're visiting, and the mayor's joining us. It's a big deal. Then I want you to eat 2 or 3 times, because I want you to also go to Natalie Bianca's next door, grab a cup of coffee at Cafe Bartiques, then just get your smoothie for tomorrow morning at More Life, grab an ice cream on the way home, do all of that, but definitely come to Cascade Road today so that we can celebrate those businesses actually receiving this legislation attention, and the fact that the detours have been removed and Cascade Road is open both directions, and it's looking beautiful. So thank you so much for your support.
What, does anyone else have any announcements? All right, we will see. We will reconvene on Tuesday. Thank you. Have a good Labor Day.